Our family is elite. Poor dropouts should just go home. You're an eyesore. My daughter's stepmother has opposed the marriage because my daughter dropped out of middle school. Seeing her smug attitude as she hurled awful words, my anger quickly reached its peak. Even though I had been warned by my daughter that she judged people solely by their education, I couldn't forgive her. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That was how I felt. Understood. Then your husband is fired. What? Furious at her utterly unreasonable way of speaking, I fired Fred's father on the spot. I, a president of a company with 4,000 employees, decided to punish this woman who picked a fight without knowing who I was, in such a way she could never stand again. My name is Patty. I am a 54-year-old president of a company. Currently, I am enjoying the cohabitation life with my daughter Nicole, who is about to get married amidst these busy days. My husband was involved in a traffic accident just after Nicole turned 3 and went to heaven. Why did you leave Nicole and me? We promised to be together forever. I was forced onto the path of a single mother, despite having looked forward to watching Nicole grow up and making lots of memories together as a family of 3. I sometimes look back at the past, but honestly, I don't remember much because I was so desperate. At that time, I had to take over the company my husband had just started. So I was desperate to do whatever I had to. I managed household chores, childcare, and work all by myself. I had no family or relatives nearby to rely on. I just had to do everything myself. Mom. Are you okay? You're not sleeping at all. Yes, I'm fine. Mom has to work hard on the job your dad left us. Plus, I want to work hard and earn enough to go on trips with you. As soon as Nicole was old enough to understand, she started to worry about me and began to help out with laundry and cleaning as soon as she entered elementary school. When we had free time, we would go to the park, go shopping, or eat out quite often, living a luxury I never imagined for a single mother. However, this was all thanks to my excellent employees. The company's sales were gradually increasing, so I think our life was prosperous. But I started to notice something was wrong with Nicole when she became a third-year middle school student. One day, I was called in by her homeroom teacher. At first, I thought she might have gotten into a fight with a friend. But the teacher told me Nicole had been skipping school. What? But I have breakfast with her and see her off every morning. I immediately told this to the teacher, but my mind went blank. What the teacher said was not a lie. Nicole would say she was going to school but then spend time in libraries or parks instead. There had even been reports of a middle school student in uniform at a bookstore during the day. Is there any trouble at home? The teacher asked, but I couldn't think of anything. Nicole was always bright and kind. I had never seen her troubled. I might have overlooked something important. But Nicole was the same as usual when she got home, greeting me with, "Mom, welcome back. You're late." I'm hungry. I decided I had to solve this problem and bravely asked Nicole. Today, I was called by your teacher at school, and I went. What? That was the first time I think I saw Nicole make a different face. Sorry. I completely missed your worries. Nicole looked surprised when I apologized, expecting to be scolded. If you have any worries, don't hesitate to tell me. Mom will never force you to go to school. When I said that, Nicole began to talk about what happened at school, tears streaming down her face. It turns out I was unaware. But Nicole had been ridiculed and laughed at school for being from a single-parent family. Apparently, ours was the only single-parent family at her middle school. I haven't done anything wrong. Yes, you're right. Nicole, you've done nothing wrong. It's my fault for not noticing how much you were suffering. I'm sorry. Ultimately, we talked until dawn. And the conclusion I reached was that she didn't need to force herself to go to school. We were already at the point of deciding her future, but frankly, that didn't matter to me anymore. Nicole tried going to school on days when she felt well. But it seems she never really fit in with her class. At first, there were kids she got along with. But even they distanced themselves after finding out she was from a single-parent family. By the time she was about to graduate, Nicole seemed to have come to terms with her situation, saying something like, "It's fun having all sorts of people in the world. Everyone's just narrow-minded." Of course, I agreed with what Nicole said. I have the company that my late husband started, and thanks to the hard work of our employees, we can live this life. But I don't know how we would be viewed by those around us if we didn't have a source of income. Nicole graduated from middle school without any problems. But it seems she didn't choose to go to high school. So, she ended up being a middle school graduate. But in today's world, as long as you're willing to study, you can always start over. So, I thought it was okay to wait until that time came. Nicole, who started working after middle school, worked harder than I had imagined. My dream is to marry the man I love and become a wonderful wife. Nicole, now over 20, occasionally mentioned marriage, leading me to believe she probably had a boyfriend. Hey, Nicole, do you have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
You caught me. Yes, I do. We've been together for a year now. His name is Fred. He says he wants to marry me. That's amazing. You're already talking about marriage. While we were enjoying a leisurely dinner for the first time in a while, and getting excited about Nicole's future dreams, it seemed she had hit another big obstacle. Actually, I ran into Fred's mom by chance when we were out on a date. Really? What was she like? Well, she was kind of scary and might have made some snide comments. She even brought up education. I see. It seems Fred's mother values education and has an old-fashioned mindset. It's outrageous to check educational background at the first meeting. But according to Fred, it's a usual thing for her. Nicole honestly told her that she was a middle school graduate, which seemed to shock her. Then, unbelievable. I've never heard of someone being just a middle school graduate nowadays. Fred, are you really okay with this? Maybe you should rethink this. This girl is definitely not right for you. Such harsh words were said in front of Nicole. As her mother, I was furious to the max. But then, I wondered how Fred responded to his mother. Did he protect Nicole? However, it seems Fred did his best to defend Nicole. Mom, please stop judging Nicole based on her education alone. She's not the person you think she is. I fell in love with Nicole for who she is, not her education. What? What's that supposed to mean? You can't listen to your mother's opinion? Everything has gone well because I was here. Have you forgotten all the favors I've done? No, it's not like that, but I really think Nicole is my soulmate. That's why I want you to see the good in Nicole. Fred's mother seemed unconvinced, but she didn't say anything more. Normally, that should have been the end of it. However, as they were about to leave, Fred's mother forcefully stopped them and insisted on going out to eat, managing to look down on Nicole from head to toe during the meal. I hate to say it, but I don't feel like I can get along with her. It's really strange. I think you'd understand what I mean if you met her, Mom. I see. I felt the urge to join in and complain together. But the only thing I could do was to watch over Nicole as she hit this wall. The harassment from Fred's mother continued. During a meal, when Fred had left the table to pay, she seemed to have asked Nicole to exchange contact information. Since we're going to be involved for a while, I'd like to have your contact information. What? Fred is a kind-hearted person. So, I have to protect him from being deceived by someone like you. That's terrible. At that moment, Nicole wondered how much more she needed to say for this woman to be satisfied. But she was too scared to say anything. And since she couldn't find a reason to refuse, she gave her contact information, which seemed to mark the beginning of a hellish period. I've given it some thought, but I really think you and Fred aren't suitable for each other. I'm not saying this to be mean, but could you please leave Fred? Nicole was getting several emails like that a day, driving her nearly insane. Fred's mother just couldn't get over Nicole's middle school education. No matter how respectable a job Nicole had, it didn't matter to Fred's mother. I never thought my education would lead to such a character assassination. Is being a middle school graduate really that bad? What are you saying? That's just a few people talking. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You're right. If you say so, then it must be true. Absolutely. Be confident. I spent days encouraging Nicole, trying to keep her spirits up. The idea of educational discrimination is so outdated, it doesn't fit in this era at all. Yet, Fred's mother seemed unsatisfied and eventually said, I want to see the parents. I will convince your parents. Surely, they aren't middle school graduates too, right? What do you mean? They aren't middle school graduates.
Ah.
Good. It would be terrible to get involved with such worthless people. Anyway, bring your parents to this restaurant at 12 p.m. this Saturday. And don't tell Fred about this. Let's talk just between us. Nicole reported that she had said these things. At that time, Nicole tried to stand up to Fred's mother. But it seems to have only fueled her anger more. But I love Fred. I want to support him for the rest of my life. What? Useless. A middle school graduate like you can't understand a college graduate like Fred. We live in different worlds. Fred's mother was determined to separate Nicole and Fred and decided it was useless to speak to Nicole, so she resolved to convince me. The more I heard, the angrier I became. What? That's unbelievable. But she seemed serious. She was really angry, like a demon. Is that so? Well, we have no choice then. Since we had reached a point where we had to settle things, I decided to finish my work quickly over the weekend to prepare for that day. Of course, I made some preparations, expecting whatever she might say. And then, the day arrived. When we arrived at the designated restaurant, Fred's mother was already there. Nice to meet you. I'm Patty, Nicole's mother. What? Where is the father? I went out of my way to schedule this on the weekend to accommodate the father. Fred's mother, dressed in branded clothing, seemed to flaunt her wealth as she insulted us. Without a greeting, looking down on us from her high horse, I was utterly appalled by this woman. You're wearing that to a meeting? Well, I suppose a middle school graduate and her child can't afford brand name clothes. And it wouldn't suit you anyway. Sigh. I worried that even my involuntary sigh might be overheard by Fred's mother. Given the malicious gaze she shot us, as if expecting my husband to show up behind us. He's late. The agreed time has long passed. Huh? My husband? He's not here. We're a single-parent family. What? You're joking, right? Nicole, is that true? I wasn't informed of this. You were raised in a single-parent family and you're a middle school dropout? Oh my, that's the worst. I feel nauseous. But you're joking, right? No, it's not a joke. My mother raised me to be who I am. The face of the education-focused Fred's mother when she heard the words middle school dropout and family was one of sheer disbelief. She probably couldn't accept that someone of the same race, let alone her son's potential wife, was standing in front of her. Initially, she might have just wanted to belittle and look down on us, but her anger quickly rose, turning her face red. Before we could even start the conversation, she slammed the table and started hurling insults. Our family is elite. Poor dropouts should just go home. You're an eyesore. Excuse me? And a single-parent family? That's unacceptable. Sadly, your daughter fails. And you, permitting middle school dropout, are a failure as a parent. Fred's mother, looking like steam was about to burst from her face, insulted me, calling me a failed parent. Being a single-parent family is unacceptable, the daughter fails, and the mother is a failure. The trifecta of rage. She might be angry, feeling betrayed or deceived, but I was infuriated for a different reason. Is that so? Yes. How dare you show your face in a fancy restaurant? Relying on me to pay the bill, aren't you? Thinking you're lucky to get a free meal. We never expected to be spoken to like this. Nicole was speechless in front of the triumphant Fred's mother. More than sadness, it was a moment of why. After all, I believed I provided Nicole with a life that lacked nothing. Perhaps even more affluent than many families. But it's understandable that Nicole, still inexperienced in life, would find this situation hard to accept. She looked like she was about to cry. That's cruel. Why would you say something like that? My mother is an incredible person. I want to live like her. What are you going to mimic? Approving of being a middle school dropout? Middle school dropout and single-parent family, seriously? That's the end. I've never seen such people. You're like natural wonders. Mocked by Fred's mother, I couldn't stand it any longer. After all, this woman knew nothing about me. Fred's mother's taunts continued. Eventually, she insisted that Nicole break up with Fred. I wondered how best to demean her. But I realized that complicated explanations wouldn't work with this kind of woman. Understood. Then your husband is fired. What? Your husband is terminated from my company as of today. He is fired. Insulting my daughter is unforgivable. What? At the mention of firing and termination, Fred's mother momentarily froze, taking time to grasp the situation. And I didn't miss her expression. Oh? You didn't know where your husband works? What do you mean? Surely not, right? I mean, you, the diligent and perfectionist wife, must know everything about your husband. Right? Well, that is. Fred's mother began to visibly shake. Indeed, she was so focused on other people's educational backgrounds that she didn't even know where her own husband worked, or who his employer was. It seems you're good at finding faults in others, but not doing your homework? How careless. Don't joke with me. Acting all high and mighty. We're an elite family. Did you perhaps think you had one the moment you heard middle school dropout? If so, that's a huge blunder. What are you, huh? Even if my husband changed jobs frequently and, let's say, was only a high school graduate, my son Fred is still a graduate from a prestigious university. And your daughter is just a middle school dropout. Fred's mother continued to flaunt her emphasis on educational background. Anyone truly intelligent would realize who holds the upper hand at this point. But it seems Fred's mother still hasn't caught on. Mother, it's true I was raised in a single-parent family and am a middle school dropout. But my mom is the president of a large corporation that manages 4,000 employees. Did you not know that your husband is one of those employees? What? Wait a minute. 4,000 employees. That can't be true. It's no lie. If you were really unaware, please take a look at this business card. As I say this and hand over the company's business card, Fred's mother blinks in astonishment, alternating her gaze between the card and me, probably doing this about 10 times. It's a business card with a photo, so she was verifying its authenticity. This can't be. Is this a real business card? Unwilling to accept the reality before her, she even questioned the authenticity of the business card. The whole situation was infuriating to begin with, but Fred's mother's actions, trying to ruin Nicole and Fred's lives over something like educational background, angered me even more. So, I decided to retaliate eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, by deciding to fire her husband. After confirming the business card, Fred's mother finally realized the gravity of the situation. Though she seemed to understand I was the president, her heart couldn't accept it, glaring at me displeasedly. So, I had to say it. And one more thing. Your husband doesn't have the impressive education you brag about, does he? What do you mean? My husband graduated at the top of his class. But there's no proof of that, is there? Well, that's you see. Nicole and I could only be amazed. There's a limit to being delusional. It felt unbelievable that we were dealing with such a person. Believing in one's family is admirable. But that doesn't give anyone the right to belittle others based on education. But since I've decided to fire her husband, whatever comes next hardly matters. It's time to tell the truth. Your husband's highest level of education is high school, isn't it? What? Well, that's you see. Moreover, he joined our company in his 30s through mid-career recruitment. And even failed the interview twice. Only after he pleaded did we reluctantly hire him. That's impossible. Shaken by being told something she never wanted to hear, Fred's mother looked frightened. A far cry from her earlier demeanor. But this conversation is far from over. That's not all. Your husband isn't even a full-time employee. No, stop it. Why would I lie in this situation? Indeed, after some investigation for this day, it turned out her husband worked for my company. Recollecting a report from HR about a person insisting on working for us decades ago. Now I realize that was her husband. Despite lacking knowledge and experience for immediate employment, he was hired as a contractual employee. He's been working without causing any troubles and, given his age, could have worked until retirement in our company, grateful for being employed at all. Yet, Fred's mother remains unsatisfied. I can't trust what you say. Living a life full of lies. Single parent, middle school dropout, those are blots on your life. Excuse me? Now she claims she can't trust what I say, although it's actually her living a life piled with lies. Anyway, I won't hand over Fred. He's mine. What is that? If you come any closer to Fred, I'll call the police. Got it? Don't ever contact him again. In the end, the discussion concluded like that. And the enraged Fred's mother left without even settling the bill. It's terrible how she called us out just to end things this way. The restaurant became quiet after Fred's mother left. This place has been a long-time support for my business. Of course, the owner and the staff were worried about us. Some were even saying, what was she thinking, speaking to the president like that? What did she want to say, really? It's like she just ran away. Let's just forget about it.
Yeah.
Right. So, I decided to enjoy a rare meal at the restaurant with Nicole. And, preparing for the inevitable counterattack from that woman. We started planning for what might come next. Yes, this story didn't end there. If her actions were to ruin Nicole and Fred's marriage, that would be unacceptable. So action was needed. About a week after being insulted by Fred's mother, Nicole received a call from her. It happened while Nicole, Fred, and I were having dinner. Wait a minute. What's going on here? What? Why are you calling all of a sudden? Don't what at me. My husband is talking about divorce. And Fred told me he wants to cut ties with me as a parent. Surely, all of this is your doing. Take responsibility. Pay me compensation. Listening on speaker, we were stunned by Fred's mother's yelling. Having anticipated something like this, I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. Fred, initially planning to stay silent, finally spoke up. Mom. It's me. Fred. Why are you still with that woman? I was worried because I couldn't reach you. She's no good. Come back home now. What are you talking about? I've told you many times I'm going to marry Nicole. Why keep interfering? Besides, I've been thinking of cutting ties with you as a parent. What are you saying? You can't just cut ties with a parent. Nicole was raised by a single mother and is a middle school dropout. You understand that, right? You should definitely stop. Marrying a woman who hasn't received a proper education is something I oppose. Fred's mother was furious. She might have thought Fred was unaware of what she said at the restaurant. Only she didn't realize everything was already out in the open. Do you really think Fred didn't know about that day? Huh? Oh, sorry, I told Fred everything. What? Thinking Fred didn't know about the restaurant conversation, his mother seemed assured. But my daughter was reliable in such times. It seems Nicole anticipated the turmoil and was prepared. I happened to have a voice recorder, so I recorded everything. I thought it would be better to show Fred your true nature. Fred was shocked. It's no wonder he decided to cut ties. What have you done? You're breaking up a family and you don't care? No, no, no. Everything is your fault, isn't it? Indeed, Nicole had recorded the entire exchange. Feeling something might happen, she recorded it to share with Fred. The recording proved to be very useful. Upon hearing it, Fred went from stunned to furious. He also played it for his father, leading to discussions of divorce and cutting parental ties. Anyone would see this situation as unreasonable, and Fred's mother deserved what came to her. At this point, the cornered Fred's mother had no choice but to accept her defeat. Fred, please listen to Mama. Please. I had my reasons, you know. I just wanted Fred to be happy. Calling herself Mama in such a pitiful voice, desperately trying to convey her thoughts, was both audacious and pathetic. But Fred wasn't having any of it. I never thought you could be such a terrible person. I'm disappointed. Fred, please don't say things like that. No, I can't do this anymore. It's seriously over. Rejected coldly by her beloved son, Fred's mother completely lost her place in the world. No amount of crying or pleading seemed to change Fred's mind. Dad said you were the worst, too. He's always said you judge people only by their education. There are plenty of people who didn't finish high school but still started successful businesses. Anyway, both Dad and I have decided to cut ties with you, so take care. And don't contact Nicole anymore. Please, just listen to me, will you? That's why I'm saying it's over. Fred's mother, disowned even by her cherished son, was utterly defeated. I predicted this would be the last time we'd speak with her and had the last word. What a shame, huh? The things you do always come back to bite you. And let me drive this home, if you try anything that hurts my precious daughter again, it won't end well for you. Remember, everything you say and do to Nicole gets back to me. But please. Despite her continuous excuses and apologies. I'm sorry, it was my fault. But please, let me talk to Fred at least one last time. Tired of her incessant demands, I unilaterally ended the call and immediately blocked her number. Even her emails were blocked. Wondering why Fred's mother would contact Nicole. It turned out Fred had already blocked her number. It seems the divorce between Fred's parents was imminent, with Fred's mother being told to pack her things and leave the house within a few days by Fred's father. Fred's father decided on divorce not just because of the criticism about education, but primarily because she tried to ruin Fred's happiness. From the beginning of their marriage, he had informed her he was a high school graduate and had promised to work hard and provide for the family. Despite moving between companies and never taking any money for himself, Fred's father worked tirelessly for his family. Being undervalued and looked down upon led to his breaking point. Abandoned by her hard-working husband and disowned by her beloved son, Fred's mother faced a bleak future with no money, no home, and no family. It was instant karma. Having never worked outside the home, she now faced the daunting task of earning her own living. Though she won't be able to maintain her previous lavish lifestyle or act superior to those around her, she'll have to manage somehow. Currently, she's said to be doing physical labor at a night construction site. Eventually, Nicole and Fred's wedding date was set. Seeing their happy faces made me incredibly joyful. They seemed to be tied by the red string of fate. As for Fred's father, despite saying he was fired in front of Fred's mother, his diligent and excellent work ethic was well known among his colleagues. Although his education was lower compared to other employees, he had become indispensable to the company and was relied upon by his juniors. Deciding it would be impossible to fire such a dedicated Fred's father, I only bluffed in front of Fred's mother. He will continue working at my company. It feels strange to become relatives with Fred's father through the marriage of our children, but I believe we can build a good relationship going forward. Nicole looked exceptionally happy, which meant the world to me. Mom, thank you for raising me. I will make Nicole happy for the rest of our lives, so please rest assured. No parent could hear those words without shedding a tear. Fred, please take good care of Nicole from now on. I believe my husband in heaven would also be pleased. As a mother, I'll continue to watch over them, hoping for their lifelong happiness.